Welcome to the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast.
Welcome to the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today we have Mr. Devin Robinson, all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina. How you doing, David?
Good. Man, I love that intro thing that you could do that on here. That's
How
awesome.
many times do you get your name confused by a David?
Not many, I'm gonna be honest with you. So that was David? No, not many. I like that you did that though. I respect that.
Man. I just read your name, right? And then I come up and do the introduction and I say David. And I'm like, what the hell did I just say?
Hey, David.
I just read his name, you know? So,
Yeah. That's true, man. It does sound like that too, David.
Anyhow, man, welcome to the podcast, Devin. Where are you from originally?
Originally. I love that. So I'm from LA. I grew up single mom. I always joke, I say triple double mom, 3 jobs, 2 kids, worked really, really hard to kind of to put us in a good position to succeed in life and giving us a really good life that she could give us, and did a fantastic job. So my mom is my hero. Love her. Thankful for her. Still got caught up in all of the wrong things in LA. And then, God changed my life, put me on the other side of the country. And now I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I got 4 kids, fostered and adopted 3 of them. And, we have one biological kid, and it's a crazy, crazy life. I'm super thankful for it though.
Congratulations. Let's talk about the wrong side of things. What were you doing wrong in LA, man?
Oh yeah. So, really interesting. I grew up, and I think about this stuff all the time. So I grew up single mom. And a lot of times, I grew up in the hood. I grew up near Inglewood. Now my mom, she worked really, really hard to really put us in good position. So we moved around to nicer areas, ended up in Torrance before I moved out, which is a good area. So but a lot of times what ends up happening is in LA, and you may know this as well, in these areas, people who don't have father figures, they turn to something, they look for something. And a lot of times these gangs target kids with no dads, and they become that father figure. And my cousin was a blood, spent a lot of time with him. My cousin was shot by 2 10-year-old kids in a gang initiation. They had AK-47s. And so it's and then I don't tell people this often, but I was almost kidnapped a couple of times, been shot at a bunch of times. And so I was running with my cousin in some of these gangs and doing drugs, drinking. And this is in middle school. And then heading into high school, this is a crazy, crazy random story, but heading into high school, I ended up moving onto the other side of the country with my dad. Wasn't really my dad, but crazy, crazy story. But, and then, God changed my life in that way. But I was doing a lot of crazy things in LA, man.
I understand, man. I was a teenager once, and even though I was not in a gang, I was hanging out with the wrong people all the time, and I was just drinking and partying every weekend like I had won the lottery or something. And honestly, I didn't even know what the hell I was celebrating.
None of us do, man.
But that's part of the things, Devin, where you become the average of the people you hang out with, right? So you were hanging out with your cousin, and he's a blood. Mm-hmm. What is it that most likely is going to happen to you, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You're going to follow the trend and do what you think is right, because by any means, when you start becoming somebody else by association, by adopting their habits and their way of life, you don't think you're doing anything wrong. You think you're just doing whatever is in front of you. So,
you're right.
So you moved to Charlotte, right? And now you're in a new environment. Talk to me about this new environment.
Well, yeah, and even just to go off just a little bit on what you were saying earlier, man, there's, we all have this innate desire to feel valued and to feel a part of something bigger than ourselves, something outside of ourselves. And then those circles, specifically gangs and things like that, that's how they target that, because they know that, and I've realized this through years of counseling and all these things in my life, but I seek that affirmation, not having that from a father in my life. I wanted it from somewhere, from somebody, to feel accepted and to feel valued and to feel wanted, a part of something. And so a lot of times they target that. And in that, I felt like I was a part of something. We did things together. We had camaraderie together. We did, whether it be bad things, but we still did stuff together and felt this sense of we're doing this in there together. And so I think like that's what we want at the core of who we are, is to feel like we're a part of a community. And so, yeah, I think like you're right, man. We're the average of the 5 people we're around because we want to feel like we're a part of that and we want to feel valued. And they do that. And so, yep, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina now. I do have we have started out with I've sold a company, crashed and burned a lot of companies, then started wholesaling in probably 2021, which was like the peak of wholesaling, right? Like that's like the golden era of wholesaling, when you can just like get a house on Zillow. And this is what I was doing. I would go so in my first 6 months, I did 70 deals, just going on Zillow for sale by owner and then sending them to hedge funds. And so did that really, really fast in that, and then absolutely crashed and burned when the market changed and I didn't know what the heck I was actually doing. And I'm thankful for like masterminds that I was in, because I think it's really good to be in those rooms because they helped me to get through that time and help me to build an actual business. And then really just toughed it out for the next until continuing to be continued. And so because of the market just shifted and nothing was the same, but you learn how to adapt and you learn how to grow and you learn how to streamline processes and systems and how to actually do the business and how to actually grow in the business. And so was doing that, and then and continuing to do that, and then ended up starting a real estate fund because we drove like head into foreclosures, which that requires capital. There's a lot of times where private lenders are even just a little bit inconsistent, where I'm like, hey, can you lend on this deal? It goes to auction tomorrow. And they're like, oh, I'm on vacation. And I'm like, I still need you to wire that money. Thank you. And so then like I ended up going, okay, well, what does it look like for me to start a fund? And so ended up starting a fund. I've been running that fund for a couple of years. It has been a labor of love. The market absolutely has changed because we started flipping in that time and it was crazy. And then now started a thing where I help people to launch and scale investment funds, help them to raise capital and do it in a really compliant, smart way. And so that's kind of where we are now, man. Love Charlotte. Love it a lot. But yeah, that's where we are.
Let's talk about the businesses you did before.
Yeah.
What were you doing before?
So a lot of those are marketing companies. So I did own, I guess the biggest one I had was a massive like wedding photography company. I photographed weddings in 30 different countries. Like I told you, Medellin, Colombia. I photographed a wedding down there. And then I had a team in 5 different cities around the country. We were doing well over $1 million a year in a wedding photography company. And so it was a cool company, ended up selling that, and then started like a media company. And then got into real estate, and I was like, oh, this is it. And it was wholesaling in the golden age. So I stopped everything I was doing. And I learned a lot of lessons in that because I still exited wrong. Didn't do like, I think there's a way you should and shouldn't exit. And I think I got really caught up in what was going on in real estate at the time.
I'll tell you this, man. The golden age of wholesaling wasn't even 2021. The golden age of wholesaling was anywhere from 2012 to about 2019.
Oh, wow. I missed all that.
Yeah. And a lot of people missed all that. Whoever's on the audience right now listening to this, and it's a seasoned real estate investor, they're going to agree with me.
Yeah.
What happened was in 2020, we had the pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And many of us were forced just to stay home. And that's when a lot of us started educating other people through social media, which had exploded as well, right?
Yeah.
So now you had the guy that wouldn't necessarily join RIA or something along those lines, get a hold of that material.
Mm-hmm.
And say, I can make 10, 20 grand wholesaling a house. And now you have an army of educators out there teaching people how to fish in the wholesale business while the market was still hot. So that's why it was so easy for many to lock up deals and sell them to hedge funds or the guys that were fix and flipping and the landlords. But which is the first set of which was, in your opinion, which was the first pool of buyers that pulled out once the market started shifting?
Oh, I mean the institutional buyers. From what I think, landlords. Okay, that makes sense. I didn't. So, and for context, I didn't know how to dispo.
You were wholesaling to institutions, so that's
all I knew. I didn't know how to dispo. I had no idea what I was doing.
But for me, I was doing multiple deals a month, and my first call was always a landlord. Why a landlord? Because those guys pay 75 to 85% of ARV. They don't want to flip, man. They don't want to, do the HGTV thing. They just want to buy, put a tenant in it, rehab it, and then buy, rehab, put a tenant in it, and then refi, and keep rinsing that money over and over and over again.
Yep.
So when the interest rates went up, those guys were like, wait a minute. I'm not going to
cash flow. Yeah.
So they stopped. And that was the first pool of buyers that pull out, as well as maybe some of the institutions, right? But then the rehabbers, now the rehabber, in my opinion, whoever's a rehabber is listening to the show, that's how they pay their bills.
Mm-hmm.
They're not rat race. But what happens when you can't get when you can't sell a house because your interest rates are too high?
Yeah.
And now people are not getting qualified, and so that's why the market is kind of weird right now.
Yeah, man,
it's still weird. Okay, I got I got a house that we bought it and rehabbed it like 3 years ago. It's been rented, and it's on the market right now for rental and for a sale, and nothing is happening.
Nothing, man. Nothing. Crazy.
3 years ago, I couldn't hold it long enough to get, so, I will get a tenant right away. Now it's like nothing. So
nothing, man. Crazy.
So we're probably going to have to come down on rents some more, because we already did.
Yeah.
To see if somebody bites the bullet, but because it's better to be rented for, let's say, $900 as opposed to $1,200. That's not rented, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, man.
So all right. So you had a successful wedding, photography business for weddings and things like that, and sweet 16s and all of that, right? And
no, just weddings, man.
Just weddings.
No, man. Listen, people would pay me like $10,000 to $15,000 for me to go and photograph their wedding, and so like it was not like, I did celebrities, I did people, I did a wedding at the Taj Mahal. Like it was crazy. It wasn't like that's cute, you do weddings. No, like this was like. I was at one time one of the top 30 wedding photographers in the world. And so it was kind of crazy, but now I don't. That's a whole different world, man. A whole different world.
You don't think your purpose was to, I don't know, to make those couples happy by delivering an amazing service like the one you were doing? Because obviously you were doing something right.
I was, but like, here's the thing I was doing wrong is that like, weddings, when you think about them, all nights and weekends, right? We're doing sessions at night because the sun set, weekends because that's when a wedding is. And so then I would get text messages every night of my kids being like, night, night, daddy. Or I would be, for me to travel internationally for a wedding, I'm gone for like 5 days because I got to make sure I'm there early, because I've almost missed international weddings because of planes. So I got to be there a day early. And then like, I don't leave until the next day, and it's a whole day flight. So I'm gone for 5 days for 1 day wedding. And then there's also times where really, here's the big thing was I played baseball in college, love baseball. My son was playing t-ball, and I made it to his first practice, his game. And then I missed the rest of the whole season because the games are on Saturdays, and he has not played baseball since. And it's like, I think he's like, no, I'm not really interested in it. But I think if I was there for all of his games, I think he'd be interested in it. And so it's not worth it. Like that, it ended up not being worth it for me, because like that at the end of the day is what I care about the most, is my family. And that's the life that I want to create for them. And so, or the life that I want to be a part of, and the experiences that I want to be a part of. And that really just like robbed me of a lot of those. And it just wasn't worth it at the end of the day.
Completely understand, man. And I can see why now you have 4 children, and that's what you're advocating your life to. Like you told me before we started the podcast. So, real estate. So now you're in real estate. You're wholesaling to hedge funds and institutional buyers. Who taught you how to do that?
Oh, good question. So my what's funny is my mom. So I learned on TikTok. I saw this guy, and he was like, "Hey, learn how to make money." He's like, "Learn how to invest into real estate without any money and without any credit." Blah blah blah. And I went to my wife and I was like, "Babe, you should try this. This is really cool." And she was like, "No, thanks." And I was like, "All right, I'll do it." And so then I started looking. I joined his Discord. I did all that stuff. And then I went to my mom and I was like, "Hey, Mom, I'm thinking about doing this wholesaling thing." And she goes, "That's what I do, right?" And I was like, "What mean? And she said, I work at a hedge fund. She works at Amherst as an acquisitionist, and I work with a bunch of wholesalers. And I said, oh, that's interesting. So then now we were very above the board. We let everybody know. It was very transparent, but it essentially was just like a feeder where I would have because we didn't get any preferential treatment as far as financially, but she would look at my deals. So I would have a deal on a spreadsheet, and I worked with other hedge funds like this. So it wasn't just one off. It was just a system we created where I'd have a spreadsheet and I was like, hey, we're in touch with this seller. How much would you guys pay for this? She would go get a pre-offer, let us know. And then we would go in, pitch the seller on that amount. And then we just rinse and repeat. And we were doing, 10, 15 deals a month like that.
Yeah, that's almost reverse wholesaling because you have a buyer already with a buy box and you just got to go search and negotiate those deals. That's fairly simple.
All we did. That's all we did. And so we did it in a bunch of markets around the country. And it was just then you would imagine that's all we did for 7 months. I didn't know anything different. And so I joined Collective Genius and things like that, which was literally a godsend. It was the best thing that could have ever happened to me at the time. And so,
oops.
Yeah, my daughter's in here.
It's okay. I got kids too, man.
Go ahead and say something. So then, so we ended up. Yeah, a tree just fell behind me. For those who don't know. So I'm thankful for Collective Genius because when that stopped, I had no buyers. I had nothing else. I didn't know what else to do. So then I had to learn how to actually dispo properties, and then I had to learn how to actually do acquisitions because we were getting houses on Zillow for sale by owner, and then just shipping them to the hedge funds because they were paying at 110%, like crazy.
And based on offers, right? So now, when you went and learn how to do acquisitions, what do you do first? Do you learn how to dispo, or do you learn how to do acquisitions? Because some people, they just come in and learn how to dispo right away.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't. I learned how to do acquisitions. So I was like, okay, well, it seems like it's not going to work for me to do any kind of go on Zillow for sale by owner. Those numbers just don't work. So then what I ended up doing was going, all right, actually, I sat in a CG meeting and a guy named Michael Frankie got up, and this was we were in this little small group together. And he got up and he gave a presentation on foreclosures. And I looked at my partner and it was oh, this is it. And so this was before he had given been teaching about it or anything. And so then I built out full SOPs for a foreclosure process. And then I just hit the ground running with them. And so then that's where we got really started off of, and then really dominated the North Carolina market in foreclosures for the next couple of years. And so then now we're actually jumping right back into that pretty heavy. So, well, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of foreclosures out there right now.
Yep.
I think more than ever.
Yeah.
Even 2 years ago, they were starting to come out, and I was like, man, there's something going on here, right? And why are these people dumping these houses with good interest rates, right? And a lot of it was the forbearance, and I don't know, people buying more than they could afford. Who knows? People losing their jobs or whatnot, right? So talk to me about the process you use for buying a pre-foreclosure. What is it that you look like? How does the property need to look like? How does the seller need to look like? What kind of reinstatements you pick, and what do you stay away from?
Yeah, cool. So when it comes to foreclosures, we've, I think over the past year, we've had to learn how to adapt, right? So there's been a lot of things that have taught us to how to adapt in the last couple of years. One, interest rates are high. So like you said, landlords aren't buying as much, flippers aren't buying as much, institutions aren't buying at all. And so then it was okay, well then how do we take advantage of, because in the last year, one of the things we've seen is, and this is really good for us to chat about. I tell people this all the time. So and this is what's happening in Charlotte. Charlotte typically appreciates at 4 to 6% a year. And I think that's what we saw before 2021, 4 to 6, that's normal. Well, if you look at it in 2021, what happened during the downturn was prices depreciated about 8%, right? So you just think about it, we're down 8%, and then really only appreciated at about 1 to 2% over the last 4 to 5 years. So now we're back up to that 8%. But think about it. Anybody that bought a house between 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, their equity has not appreciated enough to outpace the cost of fees and realtor fees and commissions. So now we're finding right now is a ton of people trying to sell houses on the market that have to come to cash to close it, have to come to closing with cash, or don't have the equity to sell their house. And so then what we're doing now is we're taking a lot of properties sub 2, and then we're doing seller finance wraps on them. So like right now I'm like, hey, everybody, I don't care. Everybody in Charlotte, everybody in South Carolina, everybody send me your no equity or your low equity deals, because we've got really good at finding buyers for seller finance wraps. And so now we're able to come in and go, sure, 6%, 7%, I don't care. We're going to charge 8%, 9% for it. And get a down payment, which replaces a wholesale fee that we wouldn't have been able to get before for a house that's on the market. So we're making 30, 40K for houses sitting on the market, or houses that just came off the market, by putting a seller finance wrap into them. So we've become fairly agnostic to what type of foreclosure deal we get. Either it has a ton of equity and we wholesale it, or it doesn't have equity and we do a sub 2 and we wrap it. So
what if they're behind 6 months on payments already? Yeah. They have a big reinstatement fee, and I mean, you gotta come out of pocket a big chunk.
Yep. And that's all relative, right? So like we've had people in Charlotte put 60K down for a seller finance deal for us.
Right.
So like they've got to be pretty dang behind to be 60K behind. And so typically what we'd end up doing is being able to find the buyer, or like I'll use private money for something like that, and then we're able to come in and cash them out. But typically, whatever the reinstatement is, we probably will look for that in a down payment, and to be able to reinstate the mortgage, that takes care of the down payment. We get a little bit of cash in our pocket. But now it's almost like when you do a seller finance wrap, it's like triple net, right? You get the down payment, you get the monthly income, and then if they go to sell the house in the next 7-9 years, then you get the difference between the underlying mortgage and what their mortgage is with you. And so really it becomes like, it's got to be a pretty heavy down payment for me to not want to take it.
Right. Okay.
Or and arrears.
Yeah, it's sometimes I stay away from some of those. Like,
yeah.
Dude, you owe too much. Like,
yeah. There's definitely like a sliding scale for risk tolerance. Like some people, like there's a lot of times where people are like, I don't want to touch anything with no equity. There's a lot of people that say, I don't want anything with no equity. But I'm like,
I'm like you, man. I made money off houses with no equity. Yeah. And there's no, like, if you get, let's say you get a pretty house. Okay. So Ron LeGrand talks about this, the pretty house business. I don't know if you know Ron, but Ron is like, he's the OG of the OGs. You know, nice. He's been around. If you met the guy, you'll be surprised he's still walking around. You know, so awesome. Shout out to Ron if he's listening to this. But like he teaches that. He teaches the pretty house business is to call people on owner financing that are for he calls them FISBOs, and you call the FISBOs. You put it on the contract, and then you turn around and you find an end buyer that's got a sizable down payment, and next thing you know, you collect the down payment. Now you're collecting a spread. If you wrap it like you're doing that now,
that's right,
and you stay in the middle. If the guy defaults, then you take the house back and you rinse
and repeat. That's exactly right.
Now, how many? Like what? I mean, I'm not going to ask you how many houses or anything like that, but like how many? What is the ratio from lead generating those buyers to conversions into actual buyers in your opinion? Because that's where the key is. It's key to have always somebody with a big down payment to make that transition a lot easier.
Yeah. So like, of course that's going to be, oh my gosh. Sorry. My wife just scared the bejesus out of me. You saw me jump, man. Of course that's going to be like fewer and far between. You have the instances in which because we're doing all different types of stuff. Facebook Marketplace. I actually created I call it, it's not like quite ready. We really only use it internally. It's like the Zillow for wholesaling, the Zillow for seller financing. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll get a bunch of buyers to be able to almost like register onto our site. So then now we have their information and their preferences. And so then now their preferences are in the system. So anytime we put a new house on, it automatically notifies them and says, hey, we got a house that fits your preference for this. Here's a list of all the houses that we have for seller finance. So that increases. And then we'll start running ads for like houses in that area for people looking for a bank, like almost like, I say like the bankless blue. This is the bankless blueprint. It's like looking for houses in that area without using the bank, and they sign up and they register, and that makes it easier. But like there's on Facebook Marketplace, you'll get 100 DMs, but only like 5
Right.
5 interested buyers.
What's an average interest rate that you wrap the house to an end buyer?
So we use a sliding scale. So we're like, hey, if you put more down, we'll lower the interest rate. If you have less down, then it's a higher interest rate. But typically we land anywhere between like 8 and 9%.
Okay.
Yeah. I know a lot of people that are at like 10 and 12 and
Oh
11.
yeah, I've seen 13, 14. I've seen all kinds of things.
Yeah. We typically like to be like, hey, I mean, we're not out there to gouge anybody. The cash flow is fine. I'd rather have more money because it's an assignment fee and then my team gets paid. Like that stuff I like more than the monthly payment because like that's just gonna accrue over time. That's fine.
Awesome, man. Let's talk about a team. You just mentioned your team. What does your team look like today?
It has looked like a lot of different things. Man, I went from $138,000 a month in overhead last year to right now we're probably like, man, we have, and it was like I had 20 plus VAs. We had people here stateside. Now we're just stateside only. I've got actually we have one VA now, and stateside we've got four acquisition people, two dispo, and then a transaction coordinator, man. So I guess what is that? Eight or nine people, all stateside except the transaction coordinator, and it's been good, man. It's really nice running lean, and my investors appreciate that because we were spending a lot in overhead, and the market wasn't doing what we wanted it to do. So I was just burning money every month, and so it was necessary. I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you that, like, man, I got hammered by the market last year, and
Everybody did. Like, whoever tells you what's killing it or whatever, they're full of it. They're not, like I got my friend Carlos Gonzalez. He's out in Tampa. He was doing 20, 30 deals per month that he was personally buying.
Yeah, wow.
He went down to like 3 or 4, and what happens to your team when you have your volume completely decreases that way? You have to get rid of them.
You have to
evolve, right?
You got to do hard things.
I was doing a bunch of deals back in the let's not talk about 21, but back in 17, 18, 19. And in 21, I think I had 106 people on my team.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it was a massive team. And right now my team is like 5.
Yeah.
So
crazy, man.
And they're all overseas. I don't do I used to do the US thing, and I had an office like the Wolf of Wall Street, and honestly that's that kind of stress, I don't want it anymore.
I don't blame you.
It's just chasing that. Wholesaling or fixing and flipping is a rat race. I don't care. Yeah, you make good money, but it is a rat race. You're just as good as your last deal.
That's exactly right. And that's kind of what like triggered the move in for me. Cause like I'm going to be honest. Oh, I'm going to be real honest on your show here. I hate real estate, bro. Like I hate it. I'm at the point now where I've also been like, historically for me, I pick something up, get pretty good at it, and then I move on. And I think it's not I think like I love business, and then the vehicle is just the vehicle, right? Like it was wedding photography, and I got really good at it, and I moved on. And then now it's real estate, got pretty decent at it, moved on. And so then now I'm building this software, and I'm like, yo, this is insane. I love this. This is going to be my $1 billion baby. And like, now I'm trying to get VC funding, and it's fun again, right? Like it feels really good. And I think AI has a lot to do with like the excitement in the world right now. But and I'm a heavy AI person. And so it's just exciting. And real estate for me now, I'm just like,
Well, real estate is not exciting when you're not making money. That's the problem,
Destroyed. Yeah, it's true.
It's the truth. So it's so beautiful when you're collecting big checks and everything goes like very smooth. But when the universe throws a rock on your path, you're like, okay, what do I do now? I need to adapt, right?
Yeah.
And I quit real estate for like 3 years.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just lived off my VAs and my VA company and the software that we had and a bunch of things. But honestly, like a few months ago, I started getting the bug again for doing deals, because I guess once you're a deal maker, you can't stay away from it. And
addicted.
Yeah, it's I don't know if it's an addiction, but it's more like, I know how to do that. Why don't I do it right now? Right. So I that's one of the reasons I moved down here to Venezuela, was to put a brand new team together, people that never done real estate, and show them how to do deals and
Nice.
do them with me, right? So that's
Yeah.
what we're doing right now, and we're in the early stages. We're working on our pipeline. We're working on our SOPs.
Good.
We're hiring people. But I don't want to grow to like I did in the past where we had an overhead. I remember when I was doing direct mail, we were sending 80,000 mailers per month.
Yeah.
Do the math on that.
That's a lot. Yeah. Especially if you're sending, depending on, it's at 50 cents a mailer, 50 cents to $1 a mailer, anywhere between there.
More because I was doing yellow letters. So yellow letters,
Yep.
they cost, at the time was like 70 cents all
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. Then
Now
you're at
they're like
$30K a month.
$1.
Yeah. They are. Yeah. If you're running, like, so I've used a couple of organizations and like I was paying like $1.10 a mail, like last year when I was doing 130 a month. I was using like, we were using somebody and we were about $1.10 a mailer. And like AI has kind of changed that up. If you can do it right, like I have a guy and he's probably at like 60 cents a mailer now, which is great. But like $1.10 is, whew, yeah, man, whew, it's a lot. It adds up quick.
Yeah, and I used to own my own mailing company, so I was paying cost.
Nice. Oh, wow. Yeah, you were.
But even if you have, so let's say you send 80,000 mailers, you put $50,000-$60,000 in that month for that mailer, but you know that mailer is not going to produce for 60 to 90 days.
That's right. That's exactly right.
What happens when you have a bad month?
Mm-hmm.
You just fall flat on your face. And I hear these people all the time. I make $100,000 a month. I make $200,000 a month. No, you've made a month where you had a month where you make 100 or 200.
Yeah.
But you had a month where you didn't make shit because
yeah.
Because closings fell through, something happened, and your overhead is still the same. So now, unless you're a $4 or $5 million company, now you're doing multiple things. You're not just wholesaling. You're closing. You're using private money. You're wholesaling. You're flipping, which is something I did in the past, but I have no desire to flip a house anymore.
Yeah. So, God, I never want to flip a house for the rest of my life.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. I'm okay flipping the paper, but I'm like I don't care about flipping a house. No, now, talk about your fund. Now, how is it that you utilize your fund?
Oh, great. So, started the fund to be able to take advantage of a lot of the things that were like with the foreclosure, to be able to use and deploy capital quickly, to be able to have it and not have to worry about going and whatever. And so, like, we'd raise it, and it's what's called an open-ended fund, so we can always raise more capital if we wanted to. But fully like I haven't raised capital for the fund in over a year and a half to 2 years because I saw where the market was going and I was like, I don't want to be caught. And I had about $2 million in the fund at the time. So it took me about 6 months to raise that $2 million, had it in the fund, was deploying it. And then I was like, shoot, the market is changing. I don't want to raise more money and then not be able to return it because the market is crazy. Market still went crazy. And then now I'm, being like, hey, you're all going to get your money back. Don't worry. Being very transparent and open with them, and then working through plans for them to know like, hey, your money's safe. And like we have it in properties and equity and things like that. And so ended up having the fund putting together. And now we can super geek out on like what are the terms are. But for the overarching, created the fund, raised a couple million, deployed it into a lot of real estate as far as like single family properties, into some of our flips, still leveraged hard money so that we, we weren't spending all cash for the houses. We were leveraging that and then being able to turn it quickly because we were just doing it as our like 15, 20% down. We were buying sub 2. So we bought a ton of sub 2s. So that's mostly what we did. As far as rentals, we didn't like burr anything. We mostly did sub 2s and used it to flip. So that's what we used that fund primarily for. And then, yep.
Now, you talked about software that you're working on, right?
Yeah.
What is it?
Oh, man. So we say that it's the world's smartest platform for raising capital and managing investors from your first flip to your final fund. So we have like, it's a really cool, it's almost like we've essentially, a lot of people come to me and they're like, hey, especially because I have the mastermind where we help people launch and scale funds. And they go, hey, do you have anything where I can manage my investors? There's an investor portal so they can see what they make. And we can do like distributions and stuff out of it. And I was like, there's some options, but let me create one. And I have a lot of people that go to like go high level. There's a lot of people who are creating like go high level white labels right now on like, hey, manage your investors in here. So what we did was we created essentially almost exactly like go high level, contextualized to capital raising with like smart matching. So let's say you put a deal on there and you have investors that heck, you haven't talked to in months, or you met somebody at a meetup. You put their info in, they can either log in and put their preferences, or you can have their preferences. And then what happens is when your deal goes there, it will smart match your investors to that deal and say, hey, based on the amount of money needed, the location, the type of deal it is, this person would be really good lenders. Would you like us to reach out to them? And it will automatically reach out to them, have them go into their portal and say, hey, there's a new opportunity that fits your preferences to invest in. And then like they can just right in there say, yep, I want to invest into this deal, and it'll notify you. And so we have things like that. And then we're coming up with a marketplace where I'm going to shovel private lenders in there that's smart match to your deals. And so it's going to be a marketplace connecting private lenders and stuff. And it's been really fun because there's nothing like that for managing investors out there. And so I was like, if you can learn how to raise capital, then more than anything, you can he who holds the gold makes the rules, right? And so like that's what that if you can hold the gold, if you can manage investors, then you win. In any market, honestly. And so I wanted to create that, and we did. So it's cool.
Good deal, man. Tell me about some of your losses in real estate.
Oh my gosh. Oh. There's a lot, man. And here's like the truth on some of the losses. Some of the losses is because I became emotional about the real estate. And I think that's what happens. Like when you become emotional about real estate, then that's when you start to lose. Like for instance, we have a house that we thought was going to do really well. We got it out of foreclosure. And then when you like force things too, that's when you really lose. And your numbers got to be airtight, and they've got to have cushion in them. Don't get too emotional with the sellers. You want to help people, but when you start getting emotional with sellers, you put yourself in really bad positions, and then you put your investors in really bad positions as well. And so I've gotten pretty emotional about some deals and lost. Like, heck, we had one house that turned into a duplex, but like the zoning was weird. There wasn't any comps for the area. Thought it was going to work out. Ended up taking like an $80,000 bath on it because like market didn't see it the same way. The appraisers didn't see it the same way. And really like and then you started paying for interest only payments for too long because it's just sitting. And then you start taking a bath every single month. And so, yeah, man, during this market, it really like jaded me in a lot of ways, but really taught me how to have like, somebody asked me, what's the one thing you learned? What's the one of the biggest lessons you learned in 2025? And I said, have the hard conversation. Like that's the thing. So there's a really good book called Crucial Conversations, and like have the hard conversation, because I said in no instance did avoiding the hard conversation work out better than just having the hard conversation. It always got worse. And so just have the hard conversation. And so I think there's a lot of real estate mistakes that come from not having the hard conversations.
I agree. I made the same mistakes, getting emotional with sellers and buying houses I wasn't supposed to buy, and just because I wanted to help them out. And the next thing you know, I'm putting myself in a position where I'm like, what did I do?
That's exactly right.
And you're right. You're putting probably your lenders and other people, not just money, but emotions at risk.
100%.
Stress, like how do we get out of this mess now? Because when you get in a mess, it's not just you, it's your lender and anybody else that's part of your team. So
yeah,
trust. You lose a lot of trust. I mean, I got into lawsuits and all kinds of things over deals that went south, but you do that long enough in this business, and it's bound to happen. I don't think anybody's immune to it. And if you haven't had a big loss or a big disappointment, you just haven't been doing enough. That's right. That's just my opinion. So now let's talk about some wins, man. Tell me about a win. Something where you say, man, we just made it rain.
Oh yeah. So like, man, I'm telling you, foreclosures are great. They're really good. I mean, we've had a couple deals in, and this is one that I did an installment method on a while ago. And some of the reasons why you would do installment method over other things is because like, let's say we do, if I took over something sub 2, or if I did do a seller finance, when we went to close, I would have to take over all the judgments, all the liens on that. I would have to like satisfy that then. But when I do an installment, I just go on the title as a equitable owner. So I don't have to take those judgments or anything. So we had a deal. Well, we had a deal in a very nice part of Charlotte. The people were just going to get rid of it. Their parents Parents had died and left it to them. They couldn't handle it. And they wanted $418,000 for it. So I did an installment. I paid them 15 grand down. I said, here, take this. Yes, we want this deal. Take 15 grand right now. So we had our closing, and then that locked in my profits. I knew that now they can't do anything. They can't sign another document without me, any of that stuff. And then we put it on the market and we sold it to a hedge fund for 600,000. So we made 180 grand in profit on that deal. And it was a foreclosure. It took a long time. It took us about 8 months to get that deal, but it was felt like a really good win. And it felt really good to pay like a $20,000 check to that salesperson. Like, that was really cool. That was amazing. It was awesome.
To your acquisitions guy.
Yeah, to my acquisitions. Yeah. It was cool. Yeah, so I mean, like, that's awesome.
Everybody wins, right? So the seller, they didn't lose the property. Some people may say, well, he made 180, the seller only got 15K.
No, they got more than 15. They got a lot more than 15.
Okay.
No, that would have been bad. Oh my gosh, that would have been terrible if I just did that.
That's why I started talking about it, because I'm like, let's see what the real numbers are, right?
No. Oh my gosh, no. Their parents left them that. They own that. I think they still made like almost 300,000 on that house.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they made a ton of money on that house, and then so that's why they were like, hey, we just don't want the foreclosure to happen. So what happened was, and this is good, thank you. They were coming up to the foreclosure. We actually came in, used our installment, reinstated it, did all that stuff, and then paid them the rest of their balance when we closed on it, right? So like, they wanted 413. We needed to come in and reinstate it. We reinstated it, but we also gave them 15,000 then, like right there at our first closing, that then allowed us to go out and market the property and not have to worry about losing the house, right? Because we're on title. Nobody can snake it out from under us, nothing else like that. And so then we wanted to lock in our profits, which is why we did that. And then they made a ton of money on the back end, and then we made a ton of money, and they were fine. Thank you for clarifying that. And then the person that flipped it sold it for 900. So so like, no, man, everybody made a ton of money on that. We did not screw people over. That would be really messed up if we did. Thank you for explaining that.
Sometimes, man, it's not about screwing people over. It's, even if they only walked away with 15K, let's assume that that's all they got, which is not the case, but let's assume that maybe you just prevented the foreclosure from going on the record, and now they're able to buy another property later on, right? And they got a little bit of money to move around. I have sellers that told me, I don't want a penny out of this.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know why, but they in their mind, they didn't want any money from the sale of the property for whatever reason. And I've had other sellers say, just take it off my hands. You know, like,
exactly.
Because that property is just, it's a challenge for them to keep up with. And by you taking it off their hands, you're doing them a favor now. By you going and making a bunch of money later on doesn't mean you're greedy or anything like that. You just solved the problem for somebody that was happy with what they got. Yeah. So now, what is next for you, Devin?
Good, man. I love this. So for me, it is straight up, man. I am, okay, if I'm really honest, it is paying out all of my investors from the fund, making sure that's right. I have this pride thing where I'm like, I literally want to be able to say, during the worst housing market in the past 30 years, my investors didn't lose a dime with me. Like, that's like, it's almost like a pride thing. And so, like, to be able to say that, so I'm going to pay out all my investors, and then I'm going like head first on one. It's called Fund Founders. So that's where we help people launch and scale funds. Mastermind for that. I think, so really interesting statistic. There is $82 trillion worth of assets under management in the United States right now. So in private equity, hedge fund money, real estate, only 1.4% of that is managed by minorities and women. So that means that 98.6% of all money in America is managed by white men. And so I think that the world equally distributes talent, but doesn't equally distribute opportunity and information. And so I want to what I call diversify Wall Street. I want to be able to help people who I want to bridge the gap between capital and information and opportunity. And so that's one of the reasons why I have the mastermind and then the software that we're creating. So like, that is next. I think that's what I'm spending the next 10 years of my life doing and building.
Good, man. So I can relate to paying back people. I at some point I owed more than $15 million to private lenders, and I
Wow.
got in a bind. So I know exactly where you're
Yeah.
coming from.
Yeah, bro.
Now, one thing is, I was never able to satisfy 100% because there's always a small percentage that it doesn't matter what you do, they're not gonna be happy with you.
That's right. That's
It doesn't
100%.
matter what you do. You can do whatever. You can pay them off, and they're still gonna go talk a bunch of nonsense and
And get their attorneys on you.
oh yeah, dude, I used to get in
That's right.
2020, I was getting probably sued every week,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
They
what
just
can you
don't
do?
understand. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what you say, what you show them, what you do. They just know it's emotional for them. And because it's emotional for them, they'll do whatever they feel like they need to do. And they're not
For
going to
some of
win.
those people, they should have never been investors to begin with.
100%. I actually now have a rule where I'm like, hey, no non-accredited investors anymore because like
No.
they shouldn't. Because then people come to you and they're like, hey, my livelihood, my life savings, my this, and I'm like, well, why did you do it? Like, I'm going to get you your money back, but like, you shouldn't have done it.
Yeah,
It's hard.
you should have just saved the money
You should
and
have.
watch it every day grow.
Yeah.
Um, every time I talk to somebody that is not accredited now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I want nothing to do with it
No
because
thanks. Yeah.
they're not ready mentally and financially to take on a loss. Because
Nope.
investors, that's what we do. We're not gamblers because we have um,
Underwriting.
yeah, we're underwriting and we're measuring the risk. Okay,
Yep.
we're calculating the risk. But what happens when something goes wrong? When the market shifts?
Yeah.
When a hurricane hits? When there's an earthquake or like a wildfire? And now your
Can't
properties
control
are
it.
on the way of that, right? Like,
Can't
hey,
control it.
can't control it. But anyhow, do whatever you can do to get out of a bind, man. Like I did it. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't perfect, but I got through it. And the one thing I can tell you, it doesn't seem like you're in a bad spot, but like sometimes when we wake up in the morning, we're like, man, I didn't honor my commitments.
Mm,
Just think of, you know what, man, I'm doing the best I can, and that's
that's
what
right.
really matters. So
That's right,
uh,
man.
it is a risk we'll take, and as investors, the people that are putting up the money for it, that's a risk they're taking as well.
That's right,
And
man.
unfortunately, in business, you win and you lose.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
You
That's
win
right.
and you lose. So you gotta take the wins, but you gotta be able to take the losses as well. So
That's right.
now, one final message from you to our audience, Devin.
Okay. I have this thing where I say, I did some reflecting. I was on a plane a while ago, and I reflected on this conversation I had with this guy, and I want to leave my kids with these three things, and so I always want to leave people with these three things. One, somebody asked me, what do you want to leave your kids? Number one, be kind. In a world where in a world that is full of ups and downs, in a world where people are trying to stab people in the back, in a world that's so fulfilled with external affirmation, be kind. Two, hone your craft in obscurity. So like this idea of like when nobody's looking, when nobody's watching, continue to put in the work, continue to practice, because there'll come a day when you get put in the position that you've been training for that whole time. And if you're not ready, then you'll blow the chance that you had. And I think luck is not sure. There's nothing as luck, but I think it's when luck is when opportunity and preparation meet, and then you're able to kind of like execute on it. And then three, be fearlessly authentic. I think also in a world where there's a bunch of fake people, the last thing you want to do is climb the ladder of success on the wrong wall. Be fearlessly authentic to you and who you are and what you want to be in life. And I think like if you hold true to those three things, it doesn't matter what you do. I think you'll end up winning at what your purpose is in life and not what other people try to portray their purpose for you to be. So I think say those
Amazing,
things.
brother. That
Thanks,
was
Ian.
good. Great message. I love it. I love the authenticity. I love the vulnerability. Like we need more people like that in our world and in our
Thanks,
lane
man.
business. I've always been an open book.
Me too, man.
I don't, I've always told people, hey, these are my wins and these are my losses, and who cares, man? Like,
Yep.
it's like I told somebody one day, like I was on stage at an event telling my story, right? And after I got done with the presentation or whatever, I got off stage and this lady came to me and she's like, she wanted to almost like cry, and she's like, "Oh my God, your story was so touching, and but let me ask you a question. Weren't you afraid of what people will say about?" Because I lost over $15 million
Yeah.
on deals and money.
Tough. Tough.
So I'm like, no, I actually got bragging rights to that now, So how
Yeah.
many people that will tell
Yeah.
you something along those lines, right? And she was like, well, that's a weird way of seeing it, So I'm like, yeah, that's how I see it. At least I tried, and it is what it
That's
is.
really
Some
all you
people,
can do, man.
that's all you can do. So anyhow, guys, don't forget to hit share, like, and subscribe. Devin, how can people get a hold of you, man?
Yeah, I'm at Devin, Devin .Robinson1 on Instagram. And if anybody's interested, man, I'd love to give your people 50% off their first 6 months of using it. The platform is called FundFlow. So fundflowos.com. Just use the code REEPOD and you'll get 50% off the first 6 months, if that's okay for me to share here. And but yeah, man, find me at Devin.Robinson1, and I'd love to answer any questions that you have and anything you guys need.
What's the website again? Funflow, that what?
Fundflowos.com. You'd have to book a demo, but man, I'd give you guys 50% off your first 6 months, walk you through how the platform works, and we'd love to be able to be helpful for you.
Awesome. With that being said, guys, don't forget to hit share, like, and subscribe. Go find Devin. Go find the Funflow. That is actually Funflow OS. I'm looking at it right now. And make sure you fill out the form so they can do a demo on you. And if this is something that resonates with you, go for it.
Let's
With
go.
that being said, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.